This is Austenne. You all know her as a fellow narrator, and an amazing one at that. And she's a font of wisdom about quite a lot of things. I basically sent her quite a lot of messages at one point about my voice. And there are people that live this stuff their entire life, but I'm fascinated by the mindset it takes to be a trained ballerina and opera singer. And also, I know that you've got hardcore factual things to help us with and everything, but I want to hear what you learned in that training, because they're really, really strict. And I also always wonder about ballerinas, if they're really strict and singers in a way that's healthy for them, or if they, like us, overwork, overdo, and think they're going to die. So the floor is yours, Austenne.
The answer is both. Yeah, so I'd say like with ballet, it's strict. It's strict and it's not strict, if that makes sense. So there is a very specific look they're looking for, and a specific style they're looking for. And then you spend, 80% of your day doing that, and then 20% of your day cross training. So we did have to take like character and jazz and ballroom dancing and all this stuff to work our muscles in a different way to aid in getting that specific look. So unfortunately, when I turned 16, I did not have that look anymore. So they were like, you're not gonna be a famous ballerina. So, but I kept dancing for a really long time, and it was fun. It just, when you grow up in it, you think everybody does it. And so I was completely unaware of like how much fortitude it actually takes to do that until I was in graduate school and wanted to take some more classes, and discovered that I really couldn't do that anymore, and it takes an incredible toll on your body and on your muscles too. So you're retired by 30, 35, if you're lucky. And you start your career at 15. And
Wow.
yeah, and so it just takes a lot. And then with opera, it's more about finding your true voice and finding what the muscles are going to do for you, and then manipulating from that point forward. And so it's not really about making them fit into a mold. It's about, was I born with the pipes to actually do this? And so after about 2 years of training, they really tell you, okay, you don't have a big enough voice for this. Or they say, if you want to continue, you're going to be in the chorus probably for most of your life. And so
that's harsh. So no matter how hard you work, you're either born that way or not.
Yeah. Yeah. You do or you don't.
With ballet, right? Genetically, if your body changes, tough luck.
Yep.
So we're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of things I've noticed crossover. So almost everything I've learned in opera training crosses over into narration. Almost everything. And so when I hear somebody was a singer, I'm like, yay, like kindred spirit, but also they're going to have little nuggets of information that they don't know they know. Or there's going to be a gap. And sometimes when you switch mediums, it takes a little bit of time to figure out what can shift and what can't. And with singing and narration, all of it shifts over. The breathing, the vocal manipulation, the disassociation from what you think your voice is supposed to sound like, that also carries over too. And that seems to be a really big idea with narrators as well, is we all have this preconceived notion of what our voices are supposed to be and what we're supposed to sound like. But in reality, it's just a muscle. It's just a muscle, but we've used it all of our lives to express ourselves, right? And it's such a part of who we are. But I think with singing, it kind of strips that away and says, okay, let's learn about what it actually is and what it can actually do for you. and then build your career based on that. And that for me has been very freeing, because then it's no longer, oh, I only fit into this category, or, oh, I only can do this for the rest of my life. It's now, okay, how do I, like, does my voice actually do character voices? Like, does my voice actually do adult voices? And the answer is yes and no. You know, I can't play women in their 30s for long periods of time, right? Even though I am in my 30s. So it's very ironic to me.
Why do you think, I'm torn about that. What do you
Yeah.
think, why do you feel, because isn't a lot of that acting? Isn't that acting the nature of a woman in her 30s rather than just the voice? I mean, I understand extreme cases like a deep voice. I'm not going to be playing a lot of young adults, but
Right.
but you could, to me, sound like a woman in your 30s if you wanted to. I'm not saying you sound like you're in your 30s, but
Yeah.
do you see what I'm saying? Isn't a
Yeah.
lot of it acting? I could see you doing women in your 30s easily.
So for stage, I play about 10 years older because of how my face is shaped and how the lights hit my face. So I usually play older moms, not grandmothers, not quite yet, but definitely women in their 40s. And I have since my late 20s, and it's just based on how you look. With narration, it's not that I'm trying to pigeonhole myself into a certain category. It's that, okay, when I've stripped down expectations placed upon me or by somebody else, this is what my voice naturally sounds like. And so for me to carry that continuously through a book, I can't do, 35-year-old women. So even though I am 35, in recordings, I sound like I'm 17 and can maybe get away with the mid-20s. So I'm talking about narration for a really long period of time. So it's not like if somebody has a mom in the book and she's in 35% of the book, totally fine. That's a character voice that comes from within, that comes from the character. I'm not, you're not doing a voice, right?
Yeah, so it's a comfort
totally
thing.
Yeah, but to sustain that, it's going to be more taxing, right? It's not impossible to do. It's not necessarily unhealthy for me to do, but it is going to take a little bit more time. So I do have to allot an extra week in there just because I know recording time is going to be less and recovery time is going to be more. And so, if that makes sense.
So what challenges did you find becoming a narrator, crossing over, vocal health wise, etc.? And what do you wish people knew? Because I know you've said many times that you see a lot of bad advice out there, not like pointing at anyone in particular. No. What do you wish we knew?
I wish that narrators would take voice lessons. I wish that they would take voice lessons from vocal pedagogues who know what they're talking about and know what they're doing, not from the voice studio down the street. Not saying that those are bad, but because of the maybe taxing nature of our profession, we're really using these chords, right? You really need to have somebody who knows the voice inside and out and knows how to manipulate them in a safe way. And so I really wish that narrators would sing, because singing is just sustained speech, right? And so I think the vice versa is true. If you want to go from singing to talking, you're just going to break it up a little bit. Nobody talks like this. Nobody talks monotone. We all talk in various amount of pitches and a various amount of ranges, right? And they're both interactive. And so, yeah, that's what I wish. I really wish people would just go sing. And it's so therapeutic anyway. It's so good for your brain. It's so good for your body. It's a full body experience. So if you're tired, if you're dehydrated, if you're, in your head about things, if anything's going on, it's going to affect the way you sing and it's going to affect the way you talk. So it is going to affect your narration. Somebody the other day was like, I kept hearing this question kind of being batted around like online and different webinars about how to leave stress outside of the booth because we are in such a stressful time. And and I was doing a deep dive, and I was trying to grapple with this question. And I just thought, you can't leave yourself outside of the booth and expect to have a fully connected session, because that stress is a part of you. It's in your body, it's in your mind. There are ways you can clear your head. There are ways you can, we feel that stress in different parts of our bodies, like in our neck or in our gut. And there are ways that you can alleviate that, but it's never going to completely go away. And if you're going to have a completely honest performance, you're going to use that stress to your benefit. You can't leave it outside of the booth. Otherwise, it just doesn't, in my mind, it just doesn't work. So a really good example is when I was in a run for Light in the Piazza, and it was incredibly, like, we were doing it at a museum. We were doing it at a North Carolina Museum of Art. It was amazing. It was amazing. Wow. So we had a 5-piece orchestra, and at the museum, there are these long hallways, right? We were in the middle of the Renaissance paintings. So the band was at the far end of the hall, because they could project, like they were so loud, the sound would just travel down the hall. And then at the end of the hall, it would open up to the rest of the museum, right? And we set up chairs on the sides, and then we would perform in the middle. And then we had a statue of Michael, or something, like a big marble statue from like the 6th century in the middle of the stage. And we were all freaking out. And it was kind of an ethereal experience. We just couldn't believe we were there. And the whole show takes place in Italy. And so you're walking around and you're talking about these paintings, but you're actually looking at these Italian paintings. Wow. It was just insane. And people were like, how do we not freak out about this? And the answer is you don't. You get up on stage and you do your job, but you use that tension to your benefit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like call fear excitement. It's like you just turn the switch in your head. You're going to feel the feelings anyway. You're going to have the adrenaline, the cortisol. Rename it. Tell yourself a different story. Reframe
it. If your character is really excited, use funnel that energy into excitement. If it's if I'm playing a sad scene, or if I have to cry, or if there's something really dramatic, but I'm also really excited, I as a person am excited to be there, then it comes out as a little manic. It comes out as a little, kind of off her rocker kind of stuff, but it works, and you sell it, you make it work. So, yeah.
So what about stamina? Because you've already been trained to being a singer, this is probably nothing to you, right?
Yeah. So stamina has to do with training and practice and prevention more than it does actual stamina itself, if that makes sense.
What about prevention?
So prevention,
I suspect.
So prevention is both mind and body, right? So for singers, it's the basics, it's the hydration, it's, limited glottal strokes, no vocal fry, get rid of it, don't use it, you don't want it. And with opera, it's all about the beauty of the voice. And so that is one thing that is difficult in that transition, going from singing to narration, is sometimes you have to do a really ugly character voice, and you say something and you're like, I don't like how that sounds. Like, that is true to the character and I don't like it. And so I just get through it. I had a session the other day and I was playing a dad character, and he had this military background and all that stuff. And I did the voice, and I was like, that's the voice. But every time I said it, I was like, no, oh, don't do that. Oh gosh, oh, don't say it like that. That's terrible.
Because actually both opera and ballet, they're about beauty.
They are. Yeah, they are. And in narration, that's not the case. It's the acting. It's just pure acting, right? So with prevention, for opera singers, posture, physical fitness, everything.
Do you exercise? Do you have a structured exercise program?
I do. Yeah, I actually do bar classes through OpenFit. So OpenFit is an online streaming workout place, whatever.
Can beginners do that? I always wanted to do bar classes. I'm desperate. like a famous ballerina did them like when the coronavirus started, but she was like with a royal ballet. I'm like, can barely get up out of my booth.
No,
So
do it. Just start. Just start. I was reading a book to my 4-year-old about having a gotta get it done mindset. And the whole book was about this little girl who couldn't throw a ball. She couldn't throw a ball. She couldn't hit the target. And she would say, I'm not good at it yet. I'm not good at it yet. And that's okay. And it was all about, this isn't success or failure. This is just having that mental fortitude to just get up and do it. And if you suck at it, you suck at it. Tomorrow you're going to suck a little less.
so you do it like every day? Like,
yeah, that's the goal. Tomorrow, probably not. I did a a core workout today, and I can already feel how sore I am. So despite stretching and, the boost in protein and all that kind of stuff, I'm gonna be feeling it. I'm gonna be feeling it tomorrow. So I'll probably do like a yoga stretch workout tomorrow. But yeah, work out every day, every single day, and whatever your body needs. So if you need to release some tension in your neck, you do some stretches in your neck. But the reason for the bar class is not because of my history in it, but with bar, it's all about releasing the tension between here and the top of your head. So all of your work in the class is, so if you're doing batmas, if you're kicking your leg really high, it doesn't matter how high it goes, it's bar class, nobody cares. You have to have your shoulders rolled back and down, right? Yeah. And this has to be lifted. This whole area has to be lifted. And so what I try to do is take the things I need in the booth and place them throughout my whole entire day, so that when I go to sit in the booth, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about posture.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So because posture is such a big deal, posture affects the way your voice projects itself, right?
Right.
The way it comes out. And also, we've all seen, I don't know if you're following some people online, but if you're doing this, you're putting pounds and pounds of pressure on your neck, right?
Yeah. And I do that.
You cannot do that. It restricts your airflow, right? Both exhaling and inhaling, and it puts extra strain on your vocal cords. So you really have to, okay, so really great posture. Actually, I wanted to do this today. This is the interactive portion. Are you ready?
Okay.
So if everyone could, so you're sitting in your chair, you're not completely on your sits bones, you're not arching forward, but you're at a 45-degree angle. Your knees are at 45, right? Knees above heels, and you're just sort of sitting. So you've got two bones right here behind this lower part of your ear.
Right.
You're gonna take your two fingers. So if everybody could do this, I don't know where everybody is right now, but if you could do this, you're gonna take these two fingers, you're gonna press in just a little bit, just gently, and you're gonna pull up. Now everyone's head should go this way, right? So you're gonna pull up a little bit, right? Yeah, you might have to move your cans, your headphones. So your chins should go down, right? So this whole, if you're sitting, like if I'm just sitting, relaxing, whatever, like this, it's this motion here.
But I thought your chin was supposed to go up.
No, So you're not pulling, right? You're not doing this. You're not yanking on anything. This is a very gentle,
giving length to your neck.
So you're imagining a string coming from the crown of your head and going towards the ceiling, right? And then your shoulders go back and down, and that is your posture. And a great way to test this is to reach for something. So if you can reach for something that's probably 2 or 3 feet away from you, you reach for it, bring it back, just hold it. All right. The next time you go to reach for it, let it hover about an inch above where you're going to put it down. So hover, right? Now fix your posture. So hover. Are we hovering?
Yeah, right? My arm hurts.
What you're trying to do, so do it again, right? So we grab something, and you're not sitting on, your feet aren't on the floor, is that right, Daniela?
Actually, no, mine aren't. Okay,
so this might not work until you get into a chair.
Okay.
But you're reaching over, right? And then you're reaching over and you're hovering your item off the whatever table, and then you fix your posture. And you should feel a shift from the muscles here down to the middle of your back and your lower back. So what you're doing is you're replacing, not replacing, displacing the effort to larger muscles in your body so that the small, tiny ones don't have to pick up the slack. If that makes sense.
Oh, I like that. And so when you're doing bar exercises, what muscles are you working on? Are you?
It's more emphasis on replacing the tension, getting rid of anything that's going on in here and making and forcing the larger muscle groups to do their job, basically. So if you
Is that what you meant about bringing things into the booth, doing things outside that you're going to be able to use in the booth?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Same goes for warm-ups in the beginning. You should warm up your voice. You should have a set program of what you're doing that works for your voice. And that should be done before you start speaking every day. So before you talk to anyone, before you say hello or good morning, as soon as you roll out of bed, that you have done those vocal warm-ups and your voice is kind of ready to start moving a little bit more because it's just a muscle. It's just a muscle. So you've got to, I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments too, and I'm trying not to do that.
Yeah, don't worry about the comments. I'll keep an eye out. I'm going to start bugging them for questions in a minute. But so, yeah, so I sing to the budgie first thing in the morning. I think that counts. Okay. Question from Lisa. Do you have any yaw release tips? Excessive clenching.
Like jaw release? Jaw release?
I think it was probably jaw.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, jaw.
Yeah, so once you've sort of done this, you can kind of move your head around. You should feel no restriction in your neck like this, right? It should be pretty pliable between your hands. So you can do it. It's not so much on your own, but with your hands, it should be very movable. And then with your jaw, I think Nicola Redmond did this once. This is a really great one that I learned as a singer. You take your thumbs, right? You press in and you drag it down your cheek. And you let, this is lovely. So you let your jaw hang open. You literally just let it hang open. You've got some muscles running here and running here. So to get rid of that, you're going to do this.
I hope that doesn't reverse my facelift massage that I do, though.
Right? Okay.
That's not the direction I want my face to start going.
I mean, I wonder if you could no, it's this. Yeah. Yeah. So you can be, use some discretion with how much pressure you use. Mine hurts a little, but nothing drastic, right? Right? Loosening those muscles. And so the test to see if your jaw is loosened, you take your thumb up here and you put your finger around it, and you can open and close your jaw pretty quickly without any restraint. Well, that's great. That's lovely. I love. We're not going to post this on YouTube, right? Okay, good. But you should be able to move it up and down pretty quickly. So if you feel like you can't do that, then you've got too much tension in your jaw. Way too much tension in your jaw. So it can be a mental thing or it can be a physical thing. So go back, do your massages, breathe, use whatever methods you want to use.
I've got no tension at all. And I wonder, ironically, if doing daily face massages has made it so I've got no tension. I've got no tension in my jaw at all. Normally I flunk every single one of these tests.
Can you move it? Can you move it pretty quickly then?
I just totally loose.
Yeah, that's it. That's what you want. And then when you are narrating, you want to keep that. If you have correct posture, you're going to have sort of a downward slope to your eyes, right? They're not going to be pointed down like this, but they're going to have a downward trajectory. I placed my mic here, a little bit lower and off to the side.
In front of you?
Mm-hmm. A little bit off to the side. Yep.
Is yours up or hanging down?
It's coming from the side. So I
Okay.
have like a stand mic thing for a desktop. It's not coming down from above because my tendency is going to be this. My tendency is going to be to do this. I already know I have a lot of neck tension that I have to get rid of during the day. I already know that that's going to be a problem. And so my mic sits a little bit lower and off to the side because I want to keep this posture and I don't want so many plosives. So it's a little bit off to the side. I have a lot of plosive, like a lot. Like that's theater training that's not going to go away anytime soon. So it's going to be off to the side a little bit. Yeah.
I'm wondering also where that, because I'm wondering if part of my thing is where I'm placing my tablet.
That could be it too.
Because as the day goes on, I lean in and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think just in nature, I think, do you not notice different people? Who was it? One of our guests, I can't remember who, was talking about different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And like some people are like always ahead. They're which is me, like forward. Like my brain is always on the next thing I'm going to do. If I'm walking, my head is over there. Some
Mm-hmm.
people are always back. And some people are, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. We were
and your
talking
head
about,
leads.
we were talking about the Enneagram the other day too.
Yeah.
And I want to get into that too, because
Yes,
that
please.
is very reflective of how you stand, how you talk, the way you process information, the way you recover, the way you prep your scripts. So knowledge of the Enneagram for me has totally and completely overhauled the way I approach art.
Can we talk about it now?
Approach doing art. Okay, so let me pull up my notes.
That night that you brought it up, I looked it up and I listened to like 3 audiobooks until like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
I was
learn
like
a lot?
obsessed.
Yeah. It's so the Enneagram is sort of I don't know if I don't want to say it's a personality typing system. On the surface, I guess you could say that's what it is. So the Enneagram, though, is not based on behavior. It's based on motivation and your ego's response to trauma. So at some point when we were little, it could be any kind of trauma. Somebody took our toy, somebody painted the room the wrong color, or it can be very drastic trauma. Somebody beat us up, we were bullied in school, or we're being bullied now, or depression, or it could be little or big. It usually presents itself in childhood, and it really is getting to the heart of how you're wired and accepting that that's what that is, and then creating ways to work with that and also celebrate it in you and in other people. And what I love about it is it really is a celebration of how we're made and how everybody is different. And that is a wonderful thing. And how can we bring out the best in ourselves and bring out the best in other people? So the way they do this is they break it down into 9 different types, right? So, and they're numbered 1 through 9, super easy. It is self-identifying. So no one else can tell you what number you are. The best way to figure it out is to read descriptions, or like Daniela, listen to 3 different audiobooks and really get inside of which number does what, and what is motivated by what number has its core motivations, and determine if that is reflective of you.
But don't join the Facebook groups. I joined the Facebook group and then listened to those podcasts, and everyone was trashing my number. Like it was like the worst number on earth to have.
Oh no!
It was expensive.
That's toxic. Leave that group. No. Yeah, absolutely. Boo them. That's like totally not the point of Enneagram at all. So what was I even saying? I don't know. Okay, so because it's based on motivation and it's based on your response to trauma, no one else can identify it for you. You have to identify yourself, and you cannot identify children, right? But what this tells us is how we're going to process information, what we're going to do with that, and how we tend to deal with situations that we don't like. Okay, so I am a 5. I am surrounded by outgoing, pushy people, or what I would call pushy, right? And my tendency is to withdraw. So fives, is it four, fives, and nines are always within the withdrawing stance. So if something happens and we don't like it, we sort of implode on ourselves. We put up a wall. We're like, nope, 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 nope. Also, my favorite word is no. Not many people struggle with this, which I thought was really funny. So a lot of like the business planning groups I'm a part of, they're like, you have to learn to say no. I was like, oh no, I got that. No, I got your no right here. So let's see. They can, they're divided also into three other groups: the head, the heart, and the gut. So twos, threes, and fours lead with their heart, which means whatever information they take in, they have a feeling about it. They feel it first, they think about it later, they have a gut reaction later, but they feel it. 5, 6s, and 7s have a head reaction. So I'm gonna, even during this process, during this talk, I'm constantly filtering through information in my head. I don't often feel things in the moment. I'm really great in emergency situations where I can just get in there and do what needs to be done, and then I will cry about it 4 days later. And so that's kind of how 5s work. And then 8s, 9s, and 1s have a gut reaction. They're doers. If they see something, they're just going to go do it. They're just going to go do it, and they're going to think about it and feel it a little bit later as well. What else was I going to say? A really great introduction to this is the Sleeping at Last podcast. They have a very nice overview of each number. Let's see, I'm looking through my notes to make sure I have mentioned everything. I was listening to a podcast the other day. What I like about this is it allows me to know what kind of reaction I'm going to have to the piece that is in front of me. And so if I know that the book I'm narrating is very dramatic, there are a lot of characters, there's a couple of triggering scenes, I know it's going to take more time for me in the booth and more time for me to recover, because I'm not going to process those emotions while I'm saying them in the booth. I'm going to leave the booth. I'm going to feel heavy. I'm going to feel whatever that character was feeling. And I need to take 20 minutes to work that out before I talk to anybody else. It also tells me that I don't need to be taking on those types of projects one after another consecutively. So I need to stick with YA comedies, action adventure, things that are a little bit more lighthearted. And I can take on one drama per year, and that is it. It tells me.
That's interesting. I remember you talking about your break.
Yeah.
And how you took your break knowing what type you were. And when you say that, because I'm a 3, and the thing I have to have when I get into the booth is I have to immediately be able to feel what the characters are feeling. I have to, or I lose interest completely. The minute it's a kiss of death, my mind goes somewhere else, which is why I don't love nonfiction. And you're right, it colors the way you work, because unlike you, I prefer books like that. I don't need to go away and deal with them. I get it all out in the booth.
Because you can process those emotions in real time. I can't do that. I am going to be withdrawing. I'm going to feel those emotions and I'm going to want to back away from them. And so hence the reason I need to work through those emotions after I get out of the booth, because I'm going to take a non-healthy environment to the people that I love, if that makes sense. So what I do for books that are particularly dramatic and have a lot of feels, I'll be done with I'll feel through the session, like I do the performance and I leave, and I'll do some really mild yoga, like 10-minute yoga. And I'll be able to assess where I feel those feelings in my body and structure my workout accordingly to that. And I'm not talking about like, a HIIT workout or like something really heavy like that. I'm just saying, we feel anger in our faces, like our faces turn red when we're angry. So if I had a particularly angry scene, I know my voice is going to suffer from that. My vocal cords are going to suffer from that. I'm going to do some vocal therapy exercises afterwards. I'm going to do some tension release here. We feel guilt in our gut. So I'm going to do some cobras. I'm going to, whatever it takes to work that out. And because fives are what's called doing repressed, it's not that we don't do things, it's that we don't acknowledge what we're feeling in our bodies a lot. And so hence the workouts every day. If I work out every day, it helps me stay present and in the moment and not up in my head. It prevents me from overthinking. So in preparation for whatever piece I'm doing, whether it's a comedy or, whatever it is, I have to do a workout. I have to feel my fingertips and my kneecaps, I have to feel all of those things and get out of my head before I can be in another place that I need to be in order to perform well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I bet we all do these things subconsciously. We find coping. I remember my walks. I would walk after I'd record because I'd feel really, really exhausted and drained because they're feeling so much. So I'd go walk and I would balance back out. But now that the COVID, I can't walk. I found a little place. I'm starting to go again. But for a long time, I would go out and there'd be people, and I'd be thinking and avoiding and I couldn't get that. And you change as a person. If you're not able to work, you start to feel uncomfortable. That's amazing because you start to feel uncomfortable. I bet that it's like a dance. We're dancing with our personality type in little ways and the habits we pick up during the day, not just for narration, but everyone knows a bit about how they like things, how they react. We dance with that. And if we can't get that, that could be why so many people right now are feeling so upset because they can't give themselves the self-care things that they're used to doing, little things. Like you're saying, the thought of working out before doing a book never entered my mind. I probably wouldn't do it now, but yourself and you've put a name to it with the Enneagram stuff. So you are consciously working with, especially the different parts of your body. That's hardcore. That's fascinating. Did it take you a long time to develop that?
The knowledge of the Enneagram, or
the knowledge of how to work in the new habits and systems that you've obviously put in place. And also, Avon wants to know, do you have a recommendation for the best Enneagram resource or test?
Yes, my favorite is never take a test online because just don't do it. My favorite thing to do is read a couple of pages on a number and determine whether or not that's you. And when you come across a number that is yours, you will feel it. You will have a gut reaction. Some people cry. Some people feel less lonely. They feel like they're known. I felt that way. I was listening to the Sleeping at Last podcast, just getting a quick overview because I didn't really know what the Enneagram was. And he's written songs for each number. And as soon as they started talking about fives, I was like, oh my God. And they got to the end of the session and played the song. And I was like, this is my song. This is the perfect song. And the opening line is, I want to watch the universe expand. And fives observe. And I used to feel very displaced all the time because I'm introverted. So I get energy from being alone. I'm not a showboater. I'm not I can be, but I'm not a showboaty type of person. And I'm in this industry full of extroverted, networking, showboaty type people. And I was like, why am I good at this? I must be broken in some way. There's something is off. Something is off. And I came across the five and I was like, oh my gosh, What, like, and finally I had a name for it. And I love this statement: what is mentionable is manageable. And that is my favorite. So Sleeping at Last is my favorite to start off with. And then I think it's the Road Back to You. But Suzanne Stabile has a ministry, and it is faith-based, but I never hear them talk about faith in an evangelical kind of, they're like non-evangelicals. I don't know what your experience with that is, Daniela, if you liked their book or not. But I've enjoyed her because their whole approach is, let's celebrate how differently everybody is made. And
Yeah,
that's
I approached it like I do being a Gemini, like, because I can understand that and speak to that. I'm totally cool with like other people's religious stuff.
cool.
Like, to me,
Yeah.
it's just, that's their religious stuff. I just let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, they don't talk a whole lot about it. Like, they mention it here and there. But their whole point is, people are a gift. People are to be treasured. People are to be celebrated. We are all made differently. Different is good. Like that's their whole mantra. And I love
And
that.
it's the core, that's the core of any religion. Well, most religions, that's the core
Yeah.
of most. So really, I mean, that's my thing. I just look at the core when it comes to like religion, and I just ignore the rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and there's no offensive in
Mm-mm.
your face teaching you a lesson thing trying to draw you in. It's just an
No.
interesting personality perspective.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I love all that kind of stuff. I do, because I think the more you know yourself, the better off you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what you can put a name to, you then can manage it. You can deal with it, man. Just even in life. Another thing, so those are the two to start off with, and then there are others branching off of that. But the Road Back to You will have a couple of pages on each personality type and kind of an introduction to it. So you can listen to or read through those and kind of determine where you want to go from there. Those two seem to be a really good starting off point. What else did I want to say? Yeah. Yeah. So, one other really good method is I started measuring my energy with spoons, like having something physical to measure energy by.
With
So
what?
with spoons.
Spoons.
So I will start off the day with 7 spoons. So fives never have an overabundance of energy. We don't wake up like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. We wake up and we're like, hey, it looks like a normal day, folks. Like that's kind of how we wake up. And then our energy level goes down after that. So I measure my energy in spoons, and this has been great between me and my husband, because my husband is a 7. He is bright-eyed and bushy-tailed all the time, and it's so annoying. And so he doesn't understand my withdrawing stance. And so in order to appreciate it, I will just say, hey, you're taking up a lot of spoons right now. And he'll go, oh, and then he kind of is more aware to like dial it down. And I do the same thing with all of my scripts. And so right now I'm going through a Western about women, in the wild, wild West, which is going to take more spoons than, a fluffy, sweet romance, right? And people, I do the same thing with people. So this conversation is going to be about 2 spoons, mainly, and that's not a lot of I don't know, just spoons, just like that's just what I chose. You could use light bulbs, you could use tally marks, you could use straws, it could be toothpicks.
Could be
Good,
toothpicks.
good. It could be muffins. It could be like anything. It could be skulls because it's Halloween. It could be pumpkins. And it's helpful for me to have something physical to draw on. And I do this spoonful of sugar. Yay.
Mhm.
Medicine go down every time. Um, But I do that with people too, because sometimes people are a lot. I mean, we've all met somebody that is like, wow, that person is a lot. And instead of avoiding them, like I would normally do, I would be like, whoa, that's shields up. Instead of having that reaction, I can say, okay, coffee with this person is going to be 4 spoons. And then I know how to structure my day, and I know how to structure my week, knowing I've got a meeting with this person on, Friday. So I'm going to have a light day on Thursday that doesn't require too much of me. And then that way I will be rested and prepared to meet with this person, like for work or whatever. They're a lot for me to deal with. And then I know I'm going to need like a half an hour of recuperation time afterwards. And it just like knowing that about myself, knowing the stances, my orientation to time, how my ego is going to react to things I consider traumatic on whatever level it is, has really, really helped in the area of self-care and what self-care I choose to use and employ in regards to work and life and stress and all of that. How do I adapt as a parent?
Yeah. How did you know it was 7? As somebody asked before, and then how do you adapt when life throws curveballs?
How did I know my husband?
How did you choose 7 spoons?
Oh, because 5 was too little and 10 was too much. I never have 10 spoons. That's never a thing for me. But 7 just seemed like a really great place to start.
7 like every day.
7. If I've gotten a bad night's sleep, it's 5 spoons. If I've gotten a great night's sleep, it's 7 spoons. And it really is just a representation to help me manage my energy levels during the day. Because I don't have a boundless amount of 8s, boundless energy. Always going, always pushing, always moving forward. They just do. That is their reaction to whatever stress is going on around them. They're going to plow right through. It just feeds their energy. 5s, what is it? 5s and 9s, 4s, 5s and 9s. We don't have that. We're withdrawing, right? Our biggest sin, if you want to put a word to it, is avarice. So even in my recording sessions, I know I have more to give. Meditation, journaling is not great for me because my head's a effing journal. Like it just goes on. I'm collecting information. I have notes everywhere. I have notes all over my phone and my computer. Like I'm always taking down, notes and knowledge and accumulating this and accumulating that and connecting the dots. So meditation isn't going to work for me, right? So that was kind of a soapbox. I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, we've got a curveball question. But you've made me think before we get off this subject, that I might need to implement something like that, because now I'm thinking about it. I made myself literally sick to the point that I couldn't get out of the bed at all for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept taking new things on because I don't have a switch. I don't understand what most people do. Like, I think I'll be dying in a coffin and think, well, I feel fine. I should just keep going, right? It's like, so I'm wondering, that could be a shortcut, is you're allowed a certain amount a day, and this is what you do, and you don't do any more.
Yeah.
I guess that could be like a safeguard to not, because the whole camp that says, like you say, meditation and journaling, all the people that say feel your body and know your limits and when you're tired. I don't. I just don't. I don't understand how some people do.
Well, that's great. That's not something that you need to fix necessarily. Like, you don't want to get rid of that. That's just a part of how you're wired. And so it's not a problem. It's just, how do you know when to stop, right? When does pushing forward become toxic for you? And I don't know the answer to that.
So setting up a limit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to think about that.
The Enneagram Journey podcast might actually be very helpful. You can just scroll through and pick the ones that are about 3s And they just have a person on there talk about being a 3 and how they live their life as a 3 and what they.
I don't know if it's the one with the woman that set it up, but they kept talking about how difficult it is to be around 3s. Like, I had a complex afterwards.
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything about that.
Even the 3s that came on as guests were like, I know you all find it really difficult to be around us. I was like,
well, 3s are, for everyone who doesn't know, 3s are the overachievers. They're the ones that are constantly trying to like gain respect and awards, and they just keep going. You guys just keep going, and I'm so jealous. Like it's hard for me not to be jealous because my reaction is to shut down, whereas your reaction is to just like you're just going. And so the question really is,
until you die.
Until you die. So like we would like to keep you around for a very long time, Daniela, and we would really like you to be healthy. So really the you know, and I like that it really the question is, what is a healthy stopping point? Like you don't have to stop. I'm wondering if a better reaction would be to redirect. How can you redirect your energy into something that is fruitful for you and satisfying for you, but healthy and gives your brain a break and your body a break, instead of just like stopping everything, you know? I don't think there is a stopping for you. I don't think there's stopping for 8s either. They don't stop. They just redirect. If that makes sense.
It's very uncomfortable to now I don't want to be greedy. I've got 2 good questions here. Nancy wants to know, as a parent, as life throws you curveballs, how do you adapt? And how do you use your spoon thing doing that?
Yeah. So I don't so referencing work and life and having a kid, I only have one because that's all I can handle. And if we have another one, it will be when she is older. I cannot handle a gaggle of children running around. Like I can't do it unless we hire a nanny or a babysitter or something like that. And then I would have like crazy amounts of mom guilt, right? So that's just for me to work through. But in regards to work and parenting, I actually don't schedule in days off because I'm going to take a day off when I damn well feel like taking a day off. Like I don't like anybody else telling me what to do, even my own schedule. Like I can't handle it. But if my daughter has a bad day, I'm going to pour more spoons into whatever she's going through, and that will affect what I do with my session. So how I schedule sessions are, they're not really dictatorial in any way. They're very loose. So I cannot thrive under a strict schedule ever. Like, so I write down 2 or 3 different options. I have, one, I could record for 4 hours, right? If she has a good day, I've got a lot of spoons, I can record for 4 hours. Or I can do admin, or I can do social media prep, or I can do, there's like, we're building businesses. There's like 85,000 things to do, right? And not all of them require a ton of spoons. So if my daughter has a really bad day, or if she's just throwing up and sick, then I'm taking the night off. Free night, not happening. If she has a meltdown, then I know I'm going to be doing administrative work, or I'm going to be doing research that evening, or I'm just going to be listening on Discord and like having other people, pour into me instead of me pouring out into another person. And so there are different activities within your business that you can use to recharge. And there are different activities that are going to take a lot out of you. And I just write down which ones are which, and I know which ones to do, which ones to avoid based on what my daughter's done. And that's just how it is. And so far I've been able to make deadlines most of the time. I haven't had a problem with deadlines.
Do you put a buffer in?
I do. Yeah. I build in like a 2 or 3 day buffer. And sometimes I get it in early. So sometimes my daughter has a great 10-day stretch and I can just knock out a book and life is great. And then other times she can't do that, And I also choose different projects based on what time of year it is and what I know she's going to be going through. So if she's going to go back to school, she might go back to school in the spring. We don't know. But if she does that, that's a big transition for her. So I'm going to either not schedule something for a week, or I'm going to schedule something really light, like a comedy or a sweet romance or something like that.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to think about putting some kind of check-in and some limit, some level of, I love that. Avon wants to know, can you please reteach us about not clearing our throats?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so don't ever clear your throat. So I'm going to do it like, right? I don't even think I did it right, but don't clear your throat. It's the same as like doing this to your vocal cords. You're just slamming them together. Your body thinks that something is wrong and will actually send more phlegm to that area. So you're working against yourself. So you are clearing your throat temporarily, but then your body's going to send more yuckiness to that area. So what David's talking about is you can move your vocal cords in and out without pushing any voice through. So when you vocalize something, so your vocal cords are like shaped like, I have pictures, but your vocal cords are kind of like this, right? You've got like the front of your throat is like here, and your throat opens in and out like so it's kind of funny. When you speak, they come together and they vibrate on their own. You don't have to make them do that, right? But you can move them in and out. They're just muscles without pushing any voice through. The way you do that is if you put your hand here and just feel this voice box, you can go, just cough really gently. You can kind of feel it move. Or cough for real. You can kind of feel it move. And now do that. I
think I'll skip that one.
Now do that without vocalizing, right? So, or pushing any puffs of air. You can just move it in and out. And you can kind of feel this move up and down. So what you're going to do is just move it. Take a sip of water, and whatever gunk is on your cords is now washed away. So this won't get rid of anything in the back of your face or in your sinuses or anything like that. It's really just if you have extra phlegmy stuff on your cords. You can push a little bit of air through and kind of get that to go up and then go back down your esophagus, I guess. Does that help?
It's probably much better than cold and flu medicine 365 days a year.
Yeah. 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 Also, it incites a yawn. That's fine. Yawns are great. Yawns are going to stretch that whole area back in there. Swallowing is great. It's going to kind of like massage this whole area back in here. It just kind of releases any sort of tension, unless you do the silent cough. Now, when I do it, it's like a very slight, it's like, anyway, yeah.
So preventative, so good food, exercise,
yeah,
sleep,
yeah,
managing your energy levels throughout the day.
Yeah.
I love the spoon idea, being aware of your personality and working with it rather than against it.
Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake you see people make with their health, their vocal care? You know, all of us that go online and go, who knows what, I've got horrible clogged throat. Can somebody give me a miracle cure? And 20 million people come out and give like, drink cyanide and it'll be fine within an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the worst that you've heard? Your don't do's?
I'm not into remedies ever. I'm just not. I'm into take a break. Take a break. You have too much phlegm, take a break. You know, and really getting what I see people not doing. I just started like 5 sentences, but what I see people not doing is really getting to the core of what is actually going on. And the minute you take cold medicine, the minute you do any sort of sinus draining, it's going to affect your body. So you have to determine if the remedy is worth it. So if you're taking a cold medicine and you've got some recording to do, that cold medicine is going to have some uptene chemicals in it, right? And you have to determine what that effect is going to have on your body, mainly dehydration, right? So you might have a ton of stuff still backed up in here, but you might still be dehydrated, right? So your cords and the rest of your body is going to be dehydrated, but you have like so much gunk up in here. And sometimes you just have a cold and you just need to have a cold and you just don't record that day, or you do a couple of auditions, you do your admin work, you do your social media, and you call it. There's something else I was going to say, but I forgot what I was going to say. What were we talking about?
I'll say something and then maybe you'll remember while I'm saying it.
Okay.
Big lesson I've learned. Big lesson I've learned. That every time you get sick and you need it to be over quicker, that forcing having to get better now and putting your sickness on a deadline is the best way to make sure it lasts longer and becomes a real chronic problem.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it for years. I now get it. Too late. But that forcing energy, plowing through, forcing, I'm going to get better, is the quickest way to make your body say, oh, yeah?
Yeah. And stress, right? Stress increases those cortisol levels, decreases your body's ability to fight infection, right? So any sort of stress you've put on yourself that's self-imposed, or where you think you should be, or what you think you should be doing, is not beneficial. Sometimes the only way out is through. And if you've got a really bad cold, just have a cold. Like maybe your body is telling you it needs to rest. It needs some downtime. And so there you go.
Yeah.
What else? I totally lost what I was going to say earlier.
So you were talking about having a cold and congestion and people that try to take remedies.
Yeah, what not to do. Yeah, I'm just not into remedies. I'll think of it once the call is over.
I know. You can post on the video that I'll even though we were all making funny faces, I'm so going to try to convince you to put this on YouTube.
I think
it could help people.
Yeah, people, yeah. I will say.
What do you guys think? Somebody put in the comments, do you think that people on YouTube would be interested in this? They're not typing.
I know.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Totally.
I don't think it was too much for me to share, but I shared. It wasn't.
We have to edit out when Avon got her phone call.
Sure thing. Yeah, it's really getting to, I remember what I was going to say.
Okay.
Really, when you start talking about remedies, you have bypassed what's actually going on. So I think before you dive into the last straw remedy, right? Like I have to perform and I have this problem. I don't have time to think about it. I get that, but that should never happen because you've done all this work preemptively in order to avoid that, right? And what I see online are people not addressing the real issue of why do they have so much phlegm? Why are they super dry? It could be anything. Your voice is here and it's so small, and anything that happens to your body impacts your voice. So anything physically, if it's allergies, if you had too much dairy, if you had not enough dairy, if you had too much caffeine, but not enough caffeine. It's just a very gentle ecosystem that you've got going on here, and it's mind, body, and spirit. And it's all of these things connected, and that can all affect what you're doing. And so that's one of the things, like what not to do. One, I stopped engaging in all those things because it just becomes very cluttery. And then B, people aren't asking the right questions. So I would urge people to ask different questions. So it's not, I have a bunch of phlegm, how do I get rid of it? Or my throat is really dry, how do I add moisture? You might not need to add moisture. You may need to switch allergy medicines. You may need to go for a walk and get your blood flowing in the morning. It's really simple things that are the solution, and not hugely complicated. Let's eat a bunch of cayenne pepper and see what happens, right? Before you do that too, I would urge people to look at the chemical structure of what they're about to ingest. So if you are going to take some cayenne pepper, or you are going to you drink a hot toddy or whatever, or eat a bunch of lemon, or really look at what happens to lemon when you ingest it, or when it goes past your teeth. Like, what does it do to your teeth? Like, what does it do? What is it doing to your body? Is it doing what you really think it's doing? And 9 times out of 10, it isn't. It isn't going to do what people want it to do. It's just a quick fix, and it has this effect. And it's kind of like, I feel like remedies are now like wives' tales almost. Like steaming. Narrators are really into steaming. Stop it.
Yeah, I almost burnt my throat.
Yes.
Like literally that thing could kill you.
It can cause some problems, and you do not want to steam right before you get on stage or you get in the booth. It's that heat, that amount of heat is going to cause a lot of inflammation. You do not want that. You also do not want to be drinking cold beverages. Somebody was listening to somebody's session and they had ice water. No, like ice water is going to constrict everything, and you're going to need to warm up again.
Wait a minute. Wait. When you just, wait a minute. Oh my God. You see how you said that kind of heat can cause inflammation?
Yeah.
I read online that you're supposed to drink lots of hot tea because I've got congested chest. I don't know what this is called to be about me, but so I've been drinking tons of hot tea, and it seems to be making it worse. Do you think hot tea could cause inflammation?
Oh yeah. I mean, it depends on the tea that you're ingesting, right? So whether it's a ginseng tea or, whatever, if it's an herbal tea, if it's, some teas can cause a lot of inflammation. The teas are just plants, right? They're just, a brewed plant. So you just have to look at what that plant is made of and how it interacts with the rest of your body. And it might be the cause of some inflammation. I know that inflammation is a huge cause of a lot of reasons why people get colds. So it sometimes doesn't have to do with your immune system. It has to do with having too much inflammation. I need to hear more about why not to steam. So steaming, sorry, I read that before you did. Steaming is generally reserved for times in your life when you are really dehydrated. So you're in a dehydrated theater. There's not a lot of dehydration. There's a lot of dehydration in your booth. Like usually our booths are very hydrated. They're like steam rooms basically. So I have a hard time believing somebody would need to steam in their booth unless they themselves have an issue. Usually older women, women in their 60s and 70s will have some dehydration issues, decongestants, if you're allergic to something and you don't know it. Those would be questions I would ask before steaming. If you've been traveling a lot, so singers will often have some steamers in their rooms because they're just dehydrated, they've been traveling a lot. And oftentimes that hydration isn't getting to your vocal cords. It's really just a way to clear out your sinuses. And so you're not really getting those droplets on the cords. So if you're having issues with dehydration, a quick fix is dairy. Dairy is going to thicken the mucus in your mouth and up in your sinuses. But again, it's not, I can't say it's not going to do much here because I don't know how those two interact, but yeah, so I'm not a huge, so it's valid for decongesting sinuses. Yes. Again, the steam is going to cause inflammation, right? So You're going to want to, if you do choose to steam and it's very helpful for you for some reason, you're going to want to wait about 20 minutes, do your vocal warm-ups, do your vocal exercises, which are two different things, and then get in the booth. I'm not a proponent of like steaming and then immediately talking, because you've got all of this inflammation going on, and it's bringing all of those capillaries to the surface. It's opening up everything, you know. So it's just, if you want to open the sinuses, people talk about a neti pot is really great. I actually don't use the neti pot. I don't like it. I don't like anything going up my nose.
I know, I can't
handle
that
it
either. I've heard somebody else on one of the calls said, do not bring a hot tea into the booth and sip hot tea while you're recording, because the hot drink, it messes up your vocal cords while you're recording.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, the tea is just it's not touching your vocal cords, right? Because it's going down a different tube, right? Hopefully, like, otherwise you'd be choking, right? So, but the heat from that is going to radiate through here. If you're cold, like a scarf works really well. If you're wanting to clear out these sinuses, I use peppermint oil. Or I use, actually, there are a lot of vocal warm-ups that will vibrate this whole area and drain all your sinuses. So I use those.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Where can we find those?
I mean, we could have a whole.
I was going to say, that's a whole other call.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, do you think there's enough of that for another call? Because that I would love to learn too.
How to drain your sinuses, or
yeah, how to do vocal exercises that would drain your sinuses.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I could show you a few real quick if you want.
Yes, please.
You want to do that? You can do what's called the kazoo. So you would just do so zoo, you're making an ooh with your tongue, and everything is very relaxed, right? Very like we're in our posture, whatever. And you feel it up in here. This should vibrate right in here. The straw is really great. I know that's not your favorite. Or maybe you said, I think you said a long time ago that wasn't your favorite, but you take a straw.
I hear about it, but I don't really understand what it is. I've never done it.
Miracles are about to happen. So the straw, so you take a straw, right? You put it in your mouth and you hum through the straw, but you also intake air through the straw. And then when you get really advanced, you move on to a coffee stirrer. And what that does is it creates a blowback on your vocal cords. And it is like, I guess it's a massage for your vocal cords. I'm not quite sure. That's how it was explained to me, but I have not done a deep dive on it. But yeah, so you blow through the straw. Everything is very relaxed. The sound is coming up through here, and you just do some scales, and that warms up your voice. And it also vibrates everything up in here and just drains your sinuses. That's what it does for me anyway.
When are you inhaling then?
You inhale air through the straw, and it actually tells your body how much air you are actually intaking. Wait,
I'm confused. Are you inhaling at the same, how are you inhaling at the same time you're blowing?
No, you're not inhaling at the same time. So it's one right after another. So Avon's actually doing it. So you're humming through the straw, and then when you run out of air, so you're going to sound like an old lady. Like you're going to sound like an old choir, singing in the choir, the church choir. Okay. It's going to kind of feel like that in your head. And then once you have exhaled, you inhale then through the straw. So your intake of breath is not through the nose or through the mouth. It's through the straw and then into your mouth. But yeah. And it actually kind of flips a switch in your brain and is like, wow, I have way more air than I thought I did. Another great thing about this posture section, you release your abs and you've intaken your air, and that is your silent breath. So if anybody here has problems with like aspirate breaths, it just means you have extra tension in your cords right here. So if you do what we did earlier and you just release those abs on the bottom, drop your jaw, I've just taken in all of the air I will ever need silently. Does that make sense?
Wow.
Aspirate breaths.
Oh yeah, what is it? What is an aspirate breath?
Like that. So if you're talking, loud breaths.
Loud.
Yep. Any sort of sound coming on the inhale means you've got tension in your core, in somewhere in your neck. And the whole point of vocal warm-ups is to determine where the tension is that day. So you're really you're doing your sighs like right? So we wake up, we do some sighs, we do our vocal warm-ups like right when we wake up.
I bought a harmonica. That helps, doesn't it? That's what I read somewhere before I bought it. I've never actually used it.
I don't know.
I heard that it helps with breathing. So I figured I'd get a YouTube video and learn how to use it.
Yeah, because you inhale through the harmonica, right?
Yeah, I think you do. I think it's supposed to help with your breathing. It sounds like what you do with a straw.
I would say it's similar, but with the straw, it's restricted, right? So with a harmonica, it's coming through, I would say you get a greater intake of air, right? And you also don't want to put any strain through here. So you just have to be mindful of that. And then with the straw, it's a slower intake of air.
Okay, might have to try both. And a kazoo?
I
had a speech therapist give me a kazoo once. That's pretty much all I remember from the entire session.
Did you have to talk through the kazoo or just blow through the kazoo?
I think she wanted me to blow through the kazoo.
Okay.
Now I've got a plastic kazoo. I don't know what to do with it.
It's childhood? That's amazing.
Obviously, opera singers don't use kazoos and harmonicas.
No, we don't. We don't. I mean, you can. I don't, whatever creative way.
I'll go buy a straw.
Yeah. So I would just get your harmonica and compare the straw to the harmonica and see how you feel afterwards. But yeah.
I love this. I love this. I feel like you've given us tools to look at things from a different perspective rather than just the little band-aids that we're always putting on ourselves so that we can just get through another deadline. Because that's what it starts to feel like. And it's
this also helps just open it up a little bit more, like so you can take I know we're all like in this path and we're all forging ahead with our narration and businesses, and hopefully this can just allow you to take a step back, be a little bit more omniscient about where you're going, and then also enjoy what you're doing. Like the minute you stop enjoying the process, like this becomes a little bit worthless, right? It becomes like a thing to do, or just thing to check off your list, or it can become really daunting and heavy, and that's not cool. This is fun. Our jobs are fun and we should enjoy them. So
I like what you said about giving yourself the things outside of the booth throughout the day in little ways, so that it's not this gargantuan feat when we step in there. You have to remember this. You have to, because it's the same with, I like to get the technical stuff out of the way so I can do the job and relax. And that's helpful, what you said about, learning your type, working with it, giving yourself the breaks when you want. It's what you said about, even if I put it in the schedule myself, I don't want to do it because I'm telling me to do it. I don't want to do it that way. I think that's invaluable. Bye, Nancy. It's been fabulous. See you Thursday.
We've run a little long today, I think, too. So
so I think this has been wonderful. I will post, thank you very much, and I'll double check with you, make sure you want it on YouTube. But I think it could really help people. I learned a lot. So thanks so much for taking the time to meet with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad I had something to offer.
That's a lot. I think we only see one path, and we get stuck on that path, and it could be career changing to be able to look at the path from the outside. And that's what you offered us tonight.
Good. I hope so. Just shed a little bit of a different light and look at it in a different way, and hopefully enjoy more things about it and appreciate more things about yourself, that we're not things that need to be dealt with, right? We're people to enjoy. And
what's the expression? We're shitting all over ourselves.
Don't do that.
Have you heard that one?
I mean, for me, it just relieved so much guilt about not fitting in, or not being the right place at the right time, or not, doing this. And all of the sudden I had this power again to choose. And that's a great thing. And nobody can make you give that up but you. And no one can make you do things. You choose to exercise or to not exercise, or to, and it just helps me so much to get to the core of how I am wired and what my voice box is actually capable of doing. And then I can go from there. And then the sky's the limit. And then it just kind of opens up all of these different avenues that I didn't see before. And so hopefully if somebody listening to this has that realization, then I did my job today.
Yeah, you definitely did. You definitely did. That it's, and also please, can you message me the link to that bar class?
Yeah, absolutely. It's killer. Like I couldn't make it through the class today, but we did core work and I was like, I'm good, guys. I'm good.
I have a childhood dream of being a ballerina.
Yay.
And, but genetically that was not we're coming from a family of Sophia Lorenz. There's no Audrey Hepburn in our lineage. So, but yes, please. Okay. I should let you all go. It's been wonderful. You're all fabulous. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Have a good day, guys. Thanks for joining, everyone. Thanks, Austenne. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Hugs. Yay, hugs. Bye.